On last week's show, we made the mistake of actually talking about crime. Well, we won't be repeating that mistake.
This is Partners in Crime with Adam Croft and Robert Dawes.
Another week, another episode of Partners in Crime. Here we are again.
Hello, Adam. How are you?
I'm very well. Yes, not bad. Yes, the weather's been picking up this week, so.
Well, let's you say that. Here we're straight in with the weather here.
We're British. We're British
as usual. And it was Monday was lovely. I was sitting out in the garden and whatever, and they were told we were told that we were going to have sun all week. Well, we haven't seen any sun yesterday, and there's no sun today.
Well,
so
it's going to be a nice weekend.
Is it?
Or so I'm told.
Okay, all right, fine. Well, I'll believe you.
Yeah, so I'm going to the zoo on Saturday. So
really?
Yeah.
So to take a certain young man to.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, and myself.
And this is Whipsnade you're going to, I dare say.
Yes.
Yes, that's the nearest to us, isn't it?
Yes.
Well, apart from the safari park, of course.
Yeah.
But so anyway,
that doesn't really count. It's not as good.
Is it not?
No.
Oh, I quite like it. I quite like. I haven't been to Whipsnade for absolutely ages.
Members, you see.
Oh, I see.
Yes,
I thought you were a member of a zoo. It makes absolute sense to me. So, how's your week been from the point of view of crime?
Well, quite interesting, actually. I went on Tuesday. I went to the University of Bedfordshire.
Oh, yes.
Who were kind enough and mad enough this time last year to give me an honorary doctorate. I went in there and I had a chat and spent the day with their forensics professor and course organiser, and had a look round these mock crime scenes they have. Had a little bit of involvement in a forensic fire investigation that was going on there. Not a real one, a mock one. Watched some students taking apart big piles of ash from a fire and picking out bone and glass and clues.
Just an ordinary day for Adam Croft, crime writer.
It was really, really fascinating though, because for example, the room where it was just literally just 2 piles of ash on the floor, 3 piles of ash, and they were taking these apart with little trowels and going through it meticulously. It was really fascinating because the lecturer was saying to them, look, these are just big piles of ash, essentially, but within that there are bones, there's glass, there's nails and screws. So there are also the remains of at least one electronic device that you need to extract and identify, and also at least 2 potential sources of ignition in there that you need to extract and identify. And I just saw big piles of ash. It didn't look like anything to me, but they were sifting through and really, really meticulous detail, and picking out these little fragments of things and putting them to one side. And it took, well over half an hour to get through what would have fitted in a pint glass. And
see, that's interesting. You see, the thing with writing and reading, you realise that very often forensics have to be sped up in books, don't they?
Oh yeah,
really. If you went in real time.
When they finished going through it, they then went through it in the other direction to make sure they hadn't missed anything on their first pass. They did 2 passes of it, so it takes well over an hour to go through. Basically what would fit into a pint glass. So you wonder, when people say, how can they still be investigating like Grenfell Tower, for example, after all this time? And that's why, because it can take one person well over an hour to go through the debris that fills a pint glass. Yeah. So if you can imagine an entire tower block or an entire building going up in smoke, and they've got to go through everything in that meticulous detail twice.
Good Lord! And
really
so this is at the University of Bedfordshire. Is this a forensic degree? Obviously, is this something that's sort of part of most universities?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I know something
University
they do.
Of Bedford sort of specialist in this. I'm sure it can't be.
I don't know if all universities do it, but
I wouldn't have thought so. It sounds like quite a specialist area of science to me.
It is really, really fascinating. They had rooms set out with mock crime scenes for drug searches and for murder investigations and things like that. It was really, really interesting to see. It's not something that's open to the public or anything. It's just it was really fascinating for me from a point of research, and from having close links with the university anyway, to go down and see that, and it was really, really fascinating.
So
and,
you walk into these rooms that are destroyed and what have you. I mean, that seems familiar from my university days, actually, but there wasn't a forensic course.
with the drugs everywhere in that room as well.
Yeah, the fire, a little bit of spontaneous combustion in the corner there. But oh gosh, well, how fascinating!
Yeah.
So, and what's the name of the professor, the doctor, the lecturer?
Dr. Vicky Barlow.
Dr. Vicky Barlow,
who showed me around. So many thanks to her for a fascinating morning yesterday.
So Partners in Crime can add her to our wonderful list of forensic experts.
Yeah.
Kate Bentley being the most recent.
Yeah.
Great. So I'm going to look out to see whether your particular area of forensic knowledge, freshly gained, is going to make any sort of input in your writing.
Might make its way into my future books. Yeah.
Well, you enjoy it anyway. You always, that's all very well researched in your books, isn't it? And you seem to have an enjoyment to it. But that's good. So that's I'll see if I can pop down and have a chat myself. What did she say to you? If you want to actually pop in,
she said no riffraff. So I would.
That's okay. I mean, maybe I'll go in disguise. I'll put on a moustache and a pair of glasses and do one of my accents.
Can you do an impression of me?
You definitely won't get in. Yes, I am Adam Croft. No, I'm Adam Croft. Right. So that's interesting. So that's an interesting part of your week, but all part of a crime writer's timetable, really, isn't it?
It's a hard job, but somebody's got to do it.
Yeah, well, exactly. Well, as we say, I mean, we've the forensic detail and the books that are available out there for people who are just interested in real crime, and people who are crime writers are tremendously good at the moment. Yeah. So there's no excuse for crime writers to actually get their facts wrong these days, is there?
There's not, no. And it's one thing having it all there in theory and all the books, which I've read them all pretty much. But actually being able to go there and see it and smell it and feel it is something completely different.
But you can just imagine what it must be like to be on a real crime. I mean, it must be terrifying, really, if you're at a real crime scene. And,
I mean, just reading in a book that they go through the contents of a fire in this detail is one thing. But actually seeing somebody do it and getting a sense of how slow and meticulous and methodical it is, it's something you can't really get across in a book. You've got to see it and experience it. So. Fair play to all of them. They're all working very hard, and got a new lot of forensics experts coming through in the next couple of years. And from seeing their work yesterday, I'm not looking forward to seeing them in action, but I'm comfortable that they are going to be the solving our future crimes.
But I mean, isn't there? See, I was looking at that the Madeleine McCann documentary recently, and they were sending off all sorts of forensic details to this country, the UK, where there was the Central Forensic Laboratory, which I don't think exists anymore, does it? I mean, it was...
No, well, it was split off into private companies a few years ago.
Yeah. I know there was a uproar, really, that this extraordinary facility that made solving crime so much easier. Well, I mean, quicker and easier, I guess, for detectives and the police force was actually being disbanded. So I wonder what the state of play is on that, because I take it all these students that are taking their degrees and whatever in forensics that you were with yesterday are all heading to be working in that particular field. I
guess so, yeah.
But
it's a bit of a weird degree to take if you're not.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, there we are. It's so anyway. It's Crime Week, and there's a very exciting week on British television. And the BBC have got their 5th series of the ever excellent Line of Duty.
You've done it again, haven't you?
What's that?
All I have planned for this episode, as you can see here on my phone in front of me. I'm
looking at Line of Duty. New series is scariest yet. Get this in before Bob does. That's
that's the one thing I had to talk about this week, and you've taken it from me. So
I'll
sit back and let you carry on.
Comfort zone there. I sort of teased out your forensic story and then jumped in with
and
Line
left
of Duty.
me with nothing else for the next 20 minutes.
Oh, good. Right, well, I'll keep going then. So, Line of Duty, for fans of this excellent series, it's a real treat. It's starting at 9 o'clock on BBC One, and let me tell you a little bit about it, if you've not seen it, worldwide listeners. Line of Duty is a British BBC police procedural television series created by Jed Mercurio. certainly one of the best crime writers, television crime writers in the world, I think. The first series premiered in 2012 and became BBC Two's best performing drama series in 10 years. The second series went out in 2014 to widespread public and critical acclaim and led to the BBC commissioning a further 2 series back to back. The third series broadcast in 2016 and the fourth in 2017. The fifth series begins broadcasting on BBC One on the 31st of March 2019, and the BBC has already ordered a 6th series. So we can glean from that it's very popular with viewers, and quite clearly very popular with the BBC. It's the most popular drama series broadcast on BBC Two in the multi-channel era, and is a winner of the Royal Television Society Award and Broadcasting Press Guild Award for Best Drama Series. In the United States, the first series was aired on Hulu in August 2012 as an exclusive series, and now a company called Q Media, formerly known as Content Media, handles the international distribution of the series. So hopefully you'll be able to get it in the States, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and wherever you may be in the world. Certainly if you have access to a BBC iPlayer platform. Now, Line of Duty, this is the 5th series. If you haven't seen it, I can't recommend it strongly enough. And with all these things, it's usually best to start at the first series for the full richness of the exploration of these stories and these extraordinary characters that Jen Mercurio has created. But as with all these things, they are standalone series. I mean, you will benefit from having followed every one of them, but you could start by watching Series 5, and if you're so inclined and like it as much as I'm sure you will, go back to the beginning and watch from Series 1. The series is set within the fictional Central Police Force and focuses on the activities of AC-12, an anti-corruption squad led by Superintendent Ted Hastings, brilliantly played by Adrian Dunbar. As the series progresses, it is revealed that the force contains a network of corrupt officers with links to organised crime. Now, Den of Geeks, a wonderful Den of Geeks, has said Jen Mercurio's acclaimed crime drama Line of Duty is back in business. And now that the addictive and ludicrous events of the Beebs bodyguard are over, well, that's a bit unkind, but there we are, we can look forward to reuniting with AC-12 for a brand new series of everyone's absolute favourite thing on the telly. Here's all the details. The new case will be set nearly 2 years on from Series 4, and Mercurio has teased a whole new perspective on things this time around. He says that we've had these shadowy figures, the balaclava men, who are part of an organised crime group and have featured on and off all through the previous 4 seasons, but we've never really gone behind the mask and identified them as proper characters and found out about them. Well, that's about to change. That was something that we felt was overdue, and so in this season, this is Series 5 of course, rather than the customary approach, which is we present a police officer who is involved in a case, and that for whatever reasons there are allegations of corruptions which AC-12 investigate, we are looking at this organised crime group who clearly, it's been established in the past, function to a certain extent through relationships with corrupt police officers. So, rather than looking at the corrupt police officers this time, we're looking at the other side of the coin, which is, of course, the organised crime group. Well, a new Line of Duty series means a new case for AC-12, obviously. Previously, the excellent BBC drama has welcomed distinguished actors like Lenny James, Keely Hawes, Daniel Mayers and Thandie Newton. This year's casting coup is clearly the wonderful Stephen Graham. Graham will play the role of John Corbett alongside Rashenda Sandel as Lisa McQueen. The pair are just 2 key figures of a deadly crime group. It sounds to me like they may be the wearers of the balaclavas, known to have links with corrupt police officers and suspected to be under direct command of the shadowy figure known only as H. So, if you want to find out who H is and watch some splendid acting by the regular cast...
Wasn't he in Steps?
It's either I'm looking at this. It's figure known only as H. Corbett and McQueen become persons of interest
H.
to AC12. So Harry H.
It's
Corbett.
Harry H. Corbett all along.
You dirty old man.
Harry H. Corbett from Steps.
Yes, well, that would be quite a that would be a coup of casting to actually bring back the great Harry H. Corbett. But anyway, Line of Duty, as you can tell, listeners, I'm a huge fan of this series. It never disappoints. It's great writing, fantastic acting, and very high production levels. I'm saying that only because I happen to know the producer of it, Ken Hall,
only
very
because
well.
You want a part in the next series.
Well, I haven't got one so far, and it just shows the producer may be a good mate, but it doesn't guarantee a part.
No.
But there we are. He cries into his handkerchief.
Sunday night, the new series starts.
Sunday night starts, BBC One, 9 o'clock, the great best slot of the week.
Yeah.
So after Antiques Roadshow.
Antiques Roadshow, right, gotcha.
If you're watching the BBC One or whatever. So watch it, Line of Duty. There we are. That's my television crime fiction recommendation of the week.
And that is a brilliant show. On to something completely different now. Last week's show, we mentioned a newspaper article, I think it was the Times Educational Supplement article, in which a head teacher just happened to briefly mention that she likes reading crime fiction, and lots of head teachers and teachers read crime fiction in their downtime, and we wondered why that was, what the links were, and we had a few messages from listeners who were suggesting their ideas for why teachers and head teachers might like reading crime fiction. Alison Waterfield says, is it to learn how to get away with murder in the classroom? We can't risk losing any more teachers from the profession. Kate Inglesant, I think is how you pronounce her name, said, not sarcastic or humorous for me, it's completeness. Sometimes the puzzles, i.e. different children's learning and helping them to succeed, don't have complete solutions. I like that problems are mostly solved. I did appreciate the not murdering your students though. And my favourite one, I think, was Marion Todd, who said, we read it because they won't let us kill our students. Apparently it's still illegal.
Well, there we are.
I think we can.
Responses from the front line.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think we can send a mug to Marion.
Yes.
I think she can get a Partners in Crime mug.
Responses, and it's nice to hear from Alison as ever. She's a great supporter of Partners in Crime.
Yes, she is. Yeah. Actually, I think I've noticed all three names pop up before on Twitter. So yeah, they're all dedicated Partners in Crime listeners. So Marion Todd, do send us your address. Email that to hello@partnersincrime.online, and we'll get your exclusive Partners in Crime mug sent out to you, and we'll even wipe the coffee stains off first.
Or in your case, green tea.
Oh, that done half stain.
It does.
Stains a mug.
Oh, tell me about it.
You don't want to see my teeth either.
It was very healthy for you, though, wasn't it?
Lovely, yeah.
Mind you, I went through a green tea phase, thinking it was very healthy, which of course it is, but it's still full of caffeine, isn't it? Unless you get decaf, of course.
It is.
Like coffee,
It's also got another compound I can't remember the name of, which apparently, I'm not quite sure how true this is, but it works for me. It staves off the negative effects of caffeine, so you don't get the jitters and the headaches and things like that, but you do get the bulletproof concentration and
sort of Amazonian hallucinogenic aid.
Yeah,
it's just in the blend.
It's legal. It does me.
Well,
that and chocolate hobnobs, and I'm up for the day.
Chocolate hobnobs. that is a natural high.
Yeah, well, you turned one down this morning when you turned up.
I did. My body is a temple, Adam, as you well know. I have such great discipline.
It's a shame that the god is Buddha.
Yeah. I'll have a hobnob when I leave.
So yeah, I've not had any time to read this week. I'll be completely honest with you. You have.
No.
Go on.
So okay, here's my book recommendation of the week, and I was drawn to this book because it's actually set in a part of the world that I know quite well, which is Essex. The Essex coast, not the only way is Essex land to some degree, but it's a book called The Rumour by Leslie Cara, who's an author that's new to me, and it's a terrific read. I'll tell you a little bit about it. When single mum Joanna hears a rumour at the school gates, she never intends to pass it on, but one casual comment leads to another, and now there's no going back. Rumour has it that a notorious child killer is living under a new identity in their sleepy little town of Flintstead-on-Sea. Sally McGowan was just 10 years old when she stabbed little Robbie Harris to death 48 years ago, No photos of her exist since her release as a young woman. So who is the supposedly reformed killer who now lives among them? How dangerous can one rumour become? And how far will Joanna go to protect her loved ones from harm when she realises what it is she's unleashed? The reviews are excellent. Everyone is going to be talking about the rumour, an intriguing premise, a creeping sense of dread, and a twist you won't see coming, and you don't. Shapri Lapina, best-selling author of The Couple Next Door. In this chilling tale of paranoia, suspension... let's start again.
You can get her name right as well this time, if you like.
I will. What did I say last time?
Shapri, I think.
Did I say Shapri?
I think so.
Shari Lapina. Did I say Shapri?
I think so. You're probably reading too far ahead.
Yes, I am. Well, it's my brain.
That's what actors do.
And also, unfortunately, my teeth. In this chilling tale of paranoia, suspicion and accusation, Leslie Cara keeps you guessing until the final page. Paula Hawkins, who some of you may recall, wrote a book called The Girl on the Train.
Never heard of it.
And Into the Water. A great debut with a slyly clever premise and a roller coaster ride to the very last sentence, says Fiona Barton, best-selling author of The Widow and the Child. It's a terrific book. I enjoyed it. It's obviously set in a seaside town. I know all those seaside towns up and down the Essex coast, from Frinton to Clacton to Southend or
That when
whatever.
you do your variety show on the piers.
Yeah. I thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
I bet your days doing the donkey rides.
I never did the donkey rides. I'd been on a donkey ride when I was much younger, but I never did that. Then my grandfather did, as I think I mentioned before, have the Peter Pan's playground at Southend. So we got lots of free rides on the Twist and the Crooked House and the Ghost Train and stuff like that. Some of them are still there.
Yeah.
Point of interest, yeah. Sort of rides. Some that the Helter Skelter is original from the 1950s.
So no one else wants it,
Nothing to do with crime. But anyway, Leslie Cara has created a very atmospheric book here, and as with all good psychological crime novels, the thing about this book is you realise how easy this could happen. It could happen at any school gate, anywhere in the country. Someone's heard something, who's heard something, who's heard something.
Well, I think that's the key of a good psychological thriller. Is it could happen to you. It could happen to anyone at any time.
Yeah.
And I think most crime, when you hear about serial killer things and what have you, vigilante groups, you think, I can read that, but it's not massively likely to affect me anyway. Whereas psychological thrillers, even though they can seem a bit kind of far out there, you can. The gap between you and the crime is much less. You can see how these things could affect you because they're about normal, everyday people like yourself, and that's what makes them really quite scary. They're actually probably closer to horror than crime.
Well, yes, I mean, and also the way that society works now through social media, how the old Chinese whispers, how something can get distorted and change with each telling from person to person, and something grows into something that it was never meant to be and possibly never was in the first place. I think is fascinating and an insight into the way that we lead our lives. It was always there, standing around the village pump, standing around the at work, standing around the water cooler,
the ducking pond.
Yes, I always think water cooler is an American phrase. Did we ever have water coolers over here? We do now occasionally, but we never used it. But wherever you were standing around, in the kitchen at work or in the staff room or
kettle.
whatever, and someone says something to someone else who says something to someone else, and suddenly this story starts to spread and grow and whatever. And that is the basis of The Rumour by Leslie Cara.
Look at us talking around the water cooler as if either of us have ever had proper jobs. As if we've ever been anywhere near a water cooler.
I've acted in scenes where there are water coolers.
You've played office workers.
And you do actually get a water cooler if you're working on a nice production that actually spends a bit of money on on the crew and actors' comfort. You do get water coolers and bottled water. They look after
crispy tuna sandwiches.
And crispy tuna sandwiches and a nice bacon butty for breakfast. Now I'm going into a nice little revelry there. But so now how would anyone get The Rumour?
The Rumour by Leslie Cara.
If they wanted to read it, Adam.
Well, I saw this book earlier in the week and I went and bought a copy because I thought it sounded great. I've not read it yet, but yes, I've got a copy, and I got mine from Kobo, which is absolutely where you should get yours. If you like the sound of The Rumour by Leslie Cara, that's Kara, or any other book you fancy getting, as a listener to Partners in Crime, you get an exclusive 90% off of your first ebook purchase at Kobo by entering the promo code CRIME at the checkout. If you've already claimed that, which you probably should have done by now, then you can get 40% off of all of your ebook purchases moving forward by entering the promo code PARTNERS at the checkout. Just head over to kobo.com, choose the books you want to buy and enter either CRIME or PARTNERS as your promo codes, and you get lots and lots of money off your books, which is a wonderful thing. You don't need an e-reader, by the way, or any particular gadget. You can download the free Kobo app on your mobile phone and read on the go if you like.
Isn't that absolutely excellent?
It is.
That's very good. I've already done that, obviously, he said rather smugly. And
I bet you used the promo code as well, didn't you?
I do use the promo code. Of course I use the promo code.
I can't quite bring myself to do it.
Can you not? No. That's sweet. That's nice. No, I use it all the time. It's there. Use it. So, yeah, that's interesting. Can I give a quick plug, actually, because the two of us are appearing at the Amped Hill Literary Festival on the 27th of April, and tickets are now available for that event. It's a smashing festival that's been part of the overall Amped Hill festivals for several years now, and we're going to be talking about crime fiction and various other things with the marvellous Anthony Lowry at the Parkside Hall in Amped Hill in the afternoon of Saturday the 27th, and in the evening there's a viewing of the premiere of a short film called Car Keys, which is a lovely little film, and the writer, journalist, broadcaster Alison Pearson is headlining in the evening, and lots of other very exciting writers will be there. So if you're in the Amped Hill area, or if you're in Bedfordshire, or even if you fancy looking it up on the Amped Hill Festival Litfest website, and there's anything there that tickles your fancy, why don't you come along and have a splendid day in Amped Hill?
It's going to be good for me because it's the first literary festival I've done that I can walk to.
Yeah, that's
Normally
true.
you've got to drive or train or even fly there sometimes, but to actually be able to walk round the corner to a literary festival is going to be great fun.
Well, he says that, but what he tends to do is order a sedan chair. Two big burly chaps turn up and actually carry him up the hill to the Parkside, where you were light to spread
throwing me grapes on the way up the hill.
Spread your wisdom. Will you wave as you pass my house?
I will, yeah.
A nice royal wave.
I'll throw the rotten ones at your window as I pass. Yeah, that should be great fun. It's very handy to have those things on the doorstep, and wonderful festival that as well, Amped Literary Festival. So really looking forward to being a part of that. Lots of things like that going on this year, haven't we? Some of which we can't announce yet, which we will be, which listeners to Partners in Crime may want to keep their ears peeled for.
I'm at the Oxford Literary Festival this Sunday. At the Randolph Hotel, which I'm looking forward to. That's a wonderful.
That appears a lot in Morse.
Yes, it does. It does. Probably because it's very often has been used traditionally, and because I've stayed there several times when I'm filming in Oxford, as a unit hotel for actors and what have you. So that very often happens when you're filming something like that.
It's in the books a lot. It's mentioned a lot in the books.
Is it? Is it? Well, there we are. It's a lovely hotel, and it's in Oxford. And anyone who, again, hasn't been to the Oxford Literary Festival, that's fantastic. I mean, we've got... Who's on this Sunday? We've got... I think there's... I say we. Alongside, we've got Simon Sharma is giving a talk. Melvin Bragg's there. Lucy Worsley. Whatever. It's an extraordinary.
And that bloke off the Royal
spread. Him making nuisance of himself as usual. But so it's a great event. It's on all this week actually. So again, look on the website and see if there's anything there, and pop along to Oxford if you don't actually happen to live in the environs thereof, and go along and see something, and I can guarantee pretty much that you'll have a splendid time.
Brilliant. Well, I'm off to get very excited about Line of Duty and watching that on Sunday night.
Have you been watching Alan Partridge?
Oh, yes.
On Monday night?
I haven't seen last week's one yet, this week's one, but I have been...
I made the mistake of actually watching... anyone who likes Alan Partridge, Steve Coogan's wonderful creation, he's got a new series on BBC One on on Monday nights at 9:30, and it's him back in the limelight with his own sort of show called This Time. Brilliantly done and hilariously funny as ever. Unfortunately, I watched it on Monday night, and the next morning I listened to the first 5 minutes of a Partners in Crime podcast, and I was stunned by how much like Alan Partridge I was beginning to sound. Aha! So anyway, there we go. But that's a rather sobering moment in my broadcasting life. So I'm trying to move away from that sort of.
Move away from the Partridgeisms,
Yeah. Very well done, though.
Yes. So looking forward to that on Sunday, Line Duty, Alan Partridge Monday. All that's left now is to have a blooming good weekend in between.
Yes, well, let's hope the weather improves. I'm relying on your weather forecast. If I'm not back in next week with a nice mahogany tan, I will be very, very upset.
Well, I'll get the wood stain out.
Partners in Crime was presented by Adam Croft and Robert Dawes and produced by Adam Croft. The theme tune was by the Caesareans. The Partners in Crime logo and imagery were designed by Stuart Beisch. Partners in Crime is sponsored by Kobo, your favourite local bookshop, perfected.